Welcome to the practice today. I have prepared 2 blocks. That's my personal preference. I guess one could be enough. I've already prepared a blanket as well. Always good to have one or a cushion nearby for some of the seated postures. We will start lying down on the backs as so often, so perhaps making your way into a comfortable lying position. When you do come to lie down, have a few wiggles there. So as you lie on your back, you might enjoy your legs out, you might enjoy your knees in a bend, whatever it is that you enjoy or find the most relaxing when you're lying down. If or when you find a comfortable position, and there's no real rules, you might even end up in a bound angle pose or something else that provides you with comfort. Perhaps consider closing your eyes. If you notice the eyes are closed and the mind is racing or you feel irritated, just simply leave eyes wide open and stare at a solid spot against the ceiling instead. As you arrive in this place, my intention for today's practice is the same as always, creating awareness for yourself, but also to find quiet peacefulness rather than living in a fearful or irritated state. As I prepared for today's practice, a card also started to underline our practice today, and I will share it right now. It says, "My life is unlimited in every perspective." I will elaborate on that a little bit later, but perhaps an indication to enjoy every part of the practice today, seeing yourself as, fortunate to be able to do so. As I encourage you to deepen the breath, if it feels right, stay present with the change of sensations that might arise within the nostrils. As you breathe in and out, a change that might arise with the movement of your belly. Perhaps there's a subtle movement in the rib cage too. See and observe how this expands further as you deepen your breathing. Perhaps establishing a full deep breath in and out of your nostrils. As you breathe deeply in and out of the nostrils, let your next exhalation, and if counting does bother you, just leave it out and feel into the length. But let your next exhalation perhaps last for a count of 4. And then taking the inhalation for a count of 4. If you then notice this count is a little bit long for you, maybe just still counting to that number, if at all counting, but changing the pace a little, adjusting the counting to the length of the breath that is comfortable but expandable for you. Maybe you're now breathing in and out for a count of 4. And perhaps this becomes very natural to you, and you can even let go after a while of the count of 4. But allow the breath to maintain that same length on the in-breath and the out-breath. While you might concentrate on that, I will share a poem with you. Some of you might actually have heard this poem before, but I find it incredibly valuable for our practice and the awareness that you might gain from it. It's by Donna Folds and called Yoga. It says here, yoga is not about the pose. It's not about the alignment of toes or hips or shoulders. It's not about the form. Yoga is an invitation to explore, not a command performance. It speaks the language of the soul. In the flow of breath and motion, yoga coaxes us from the confines of the known across the silent threshold into vastness. Yoga is the union of prayer and movement, guided from inside. It is healing and the joy of saying yes to life. Breathe, relax, and feel the body receive its own truth. The seed of freedom flowers within each of us whenever we are open to what's real. My life is unlimited in every respect. And so might you choose to extend this breathing practice. If it feels right for you to hold your breath, perhaps extending the practice, maybe going back to the same length of in and out breaths if unsuitable. While you keep your breath at a count of 4 if joining in, also hold the breath for a count of 4 after the inhalation, then exhaling for your usual count of 4, and maybe trying to hold the breath here for a count of 4 outside of the body. And then breathing in again for 4, holding for 4, exhaling for 4, and holding for 4. If your mind tends to wander, you might like to see a box in front of your closed eyes and trace the sides of the box as you breathe and hold and exhale and hold. Practicing the box breath or samavriti for a few rounds, maintaining awareness at the breath, perhaps the box in front of your eyes. Continue samavriti until you next exhale. Then let go of the breathing practice and retreat to just observing yourself. I was hoping for a sense of calm already arriving. Perhaps a more relaxed feeling in the body itself. Seeing the possibilities that are there for you today. As we begin some movement, stay lying on your back. Perhaps extending your arms over the head, and you can use both here. I'm just resting my left arm. Maybe both legs are extending out, and you could reach up to your fingers, stretch down to your toes. Have a soft sigh and relax into your position. And then maybe stretching a little bit more into the right side as you breathe in. A soft sigh to relax that. And then stretching a little bit more into the left side on the next inhale. And again, relaxing when breathing out. You can choose now to open your arms out, preferably, if that's available, bringing your hands behind the head with your elbows bent, however. Again, I will modify my left. You could do this so fully. Bending both knees and placing your feet down onto the ground. Getting your feet to touch, but also your knees to touch. We've done a full back release before, but not for some time. So I might highlight and again to squeeze the legs together so they're not parting. On an exhale, rolling to an outer edge of the foot as your knees rolling to the right. Inhaling to bring them into center. And exhaling, rolling to the other edge of the foot to the left. We're breathing in, knees to center, squeezing them as they roll to the side. Squeezing them still when they come to center. So the trick here is to keep even your feet stacked. So we're only resting when in the twist on the outer edge of a foot. Feet and knees glued together. So we're releasing our lower back area first. And as you come back to center, once you've done the same amount left and right, keep everything as is, but lift your feet off the floor. Keep the knees roughly over your hips and lift the feet up, flexing at your ankle joint. So you're raising your feet up so you can just see the toes behind your knees. The same applies here. We're squeezing feet and knees tightly, arms ideally behind the head or open to the side. As you squeeze, leave the angle of the knees, bringing them to the right on an out breath. Inhaling back to center and keep knees and feet touching as you move them to the other side. If you are observing me as you continue the movement, no obligation to. Notice how I'm not going very far, but I'm keeping that same angle in the knees, so the 90 degrees. And you might achieve that easiest by checking in that your toes are still visible behind your bent knees when you're in the center. Keep going side to side for a few more. We're targeting our mid-back now. When you're balanced, left and right side, come back to center. Still leave everything as is, but lower your feet in the direction of your bottom. Your knees are still over the chest. Your hands might still be behind the head. The same here. Squeeze your knees tightly. But as you now exhale, tuck the knees up towards one shoulder and then swing them across as you inhale and tuck them up on the next outburst to the other shoulder. So now there's a little core tuck when you're drawing your knees up towards the shoulders. The same here, your knees are not parting, they're squeezed together as you're tucking them up on the outburst. Few more here for more upper back release. And when you completed, balanced on each side, land your feet down gently, releasing your hands from behind the head and just relaxing the arms, maybe even letting the knees fall in for a moment. Allowing a moment of quiet to process the sensations in the back. Perhaps you can feel the movement still in your core center. I would ask you to reach for a block or what is a replacement for you and just place that here on the side of the mat. My feet are now hip distance apart on the floor, reasonably close to the buttocks. Arms are now alongside the body, and you might copy that, the palms resting on the mat. We will take an inhale where the pelvis is already tilting. We're squeezing the glute muscles and lifting the hips up for a bridge. Then slowly exhaling and rolling the spine back down onto the mat. Let's repeat the simple rolling in and out of a bridge. As you breathe in, tilt the pelvis, squeezing your hips up. And with the out breath, rolling the back again to the floor. Let's repeat that for a few rounds just to warm up through the spine, lifting on an inhale and rolling down on an exhale. Nothing else to do for now, but moving through the spine. We'll go for one more round. And when you're next lifting up, as you inhale, holding right there. Drawing your tailbone up towards the backs of the knees to get that extra extension over the front of the hip. Quads perhaps. And then take your block. I will use mine in a flat version. I suggest maximum halfway up, placing the block directly underneath the sacrum. My observations have shown that oftentimes the block is a little bit too high up the spine. So please make sure that your block is only touching the very bottom end of the spine, so that the rest of your vertebrae are actually hanging, thanks gravity, towards the floor. You can choose now to relax your arms and even slide your shoulder blades slightly under if you choose to turn the palms upward from there. You might then rest exactly as you are, a supported bridge. Or you could choose to extend one leg out long. If you find this is still okay for your hip flexors, which might have an opening, and your lower back, you could also extend the second leg. If it's not feeling right, please keep knees bent, or even just one leg extended. Allow yourself to let your breath deepen again. With that, your belly rising and falling. And perhaps you observe the sensation here in the front of the body, whichever shape you have found for yourself. And if you only have one leg extended, a suggestion to change legs now. Keeping the awareness in the front of the body as you breathe in and as you breathe out. And perhaps there's a change there in sensations with the breath. If your legs are extended, sliding your knees back into a bend by placing feet to floor. As we're still on the block, you might turn the palms to touch the mat again. Then lift up as you breathe in. Hold by drawing tailbone up towards the backs of the knees. And then exhaling as you slowly and controlled release your spine back to the mat. Wiggle your feet out to touch the edges of the mat and let the knees fall in for a couple of breaths. You might then bring both knees into the chest, allowing perhaps a little rocking there from side to side. If this feels quite lovely, you could choose to roll onto a side. You could also choose to rock a few times forwards and backwards, finding your way into a seated form. You can choose the way that you sit in this position. I will choose to sit towards the heels and using blocks. That is an option. You could also sit in an easy pose if that feels better for you. The only thing that I would love you to find is length in your spine, and then a little shoulder shrug. So to let the shoulders settle in, maybe letting the palms of the hands rest in your lap with the palms facing up for now. And then notice how your lower back is positioned. There's often a lowering of the tailbone that makes you feel that little bit more grounded, lifting up through the back of the body, maybe wiggling your head a little, raising the crown of the head to the ceiling. We'll use Pala Mudra to rest the left hand facing upwards just below your navel. The right hand like a little bowl as well on top. And cherishing everything that there is in abundance between the hands. You might like to close your eyes or steady your gaze and just feeling into the space between the hands. Pala Mudra is said to assist with feelings of fears. It's a calming effect, potentially. A comfort arising through the confined space between the two hands, although they're not even touching. While you find back to a deep, full breath in and out, you might lightly open your eyes, but have a steady gazing point directly in front. As you next inhale, opening your right arm, that's the top one, and looking over towards the palm of the hand. As you exhale, bring the hand back to the mudra, centering your gazing point. The left arm on the in-breath just opens to the side. You're looking towards it. On the exhale, just sliding it back under, completing the mudra. We'll repeat that once. Breathing in, right arm opens, looking over. Breathing out to center, back to Pala Mudra. Inhaling, left arm opens. Exhaling, returning to Pala Mudra. Closing your eyes for a couple of breaths, observing again. On a breath in, opening the right again as you might look over. On an exhale, enter into a light side bend, maybe keeping your gaze towards that side with a little tuck of the chin in towards your armpit. As you inhale, open the arm again, looking back to the palm of the hand. A breath out to bring the mudra back together. Let's repeat that on the other side. As you inhale, open your left arm, looking in. On the exhale, arm overhead for a side bend. On the inhale, extending your arm and gaze again. On the exhale, closing the mudra. Close your eyes again if available to you. Rest, hold, 2 breaths. After the 2 breaths, relax the hands back into your lap. Notice the difference. If you feel an urge to turn the palms down, please follow that urge. You might want to preserve the energies created. Let's take a deep breath in here. With the out breath, if you're in an easy pose, maybe the feet are swinging over. If you're on a kneeling position, you might just lean forward. I will remove the blocks from the mat. And then coming into a standing position, let us start at the short front edge of the mat. As you come to stand here, the first standing posture, so perhaps separating the feet to comfortable hip distance. And as you look down and perhaps rock a little bit forward, backwards, or just lifting and lowering the feet, aligning the outer edges of the feet with each other when you get there. Let the knees ever so slightly soften, the tailbone perhaps be a bit heavy. Not actively drawing anything down, just feeling the energy moving and supporting you under the feet and in the legs. Return to Palamudra, so the left hand comes back underneath the navel, the right hand cups on top. Leaving shoulders easy, we're repeating the movement now in a standing position. So for the in-breath, opening your right arm, turn your gaze. For the out-breath, bring the hand back on top, centering the gaze. Left arm opens, breath in as you turn. Breath out and bring that back under. We're adding the side bend. On the inhale, open and look over. On the exhale, arm overhead and the side bend. Breathing in as the arm reaches back to the side, so is your gaze. On the out breath, bringing the mudra back together. Left arm opens, breath in, the gaze is turning. You might turn the other hand upward as you breathe out for the side bend here. On your inhale, reach your arm back out to the side. On the exhale, rotate the hands and come back to the mudra. We'll repeat the full one once more as you breathe in. Open the right arm, turning your gaze. On the exhale, going into a side bend. The inhale to look back to the right hand. And out breath for Pala Mudra. Inhaling, left arm opens. Right hand can turn up as you breathe out for your side bend. Inhaling, looking back to the left hand. Swirl the hands and find the mudra again. Pausing in your stance. Shoulders are easy right now. We will add to this. While you breathe in, open the right arm, looking over. Exhaling, side bend. Open both arms as you breathe in. Point out your right toes. Star position. Landing the foot down as you inhale. Return to the side bend on the exhale. Inhaling, right arm moves out to the side as you take a look. And a breath out to close the mudra. Inhaling, left arm opens. Right palm might turn up as you breathe out for your side bend. Inhaling as you open your arms, maybe pointing your left toes away, star position. Landing the foot, returning to the side bend when you next exhale. On the inhale, looking back to the left and returning to the mudra. We'll do that one more time. Inhaling as you look over. Exhaling, side bend. Inhaling star. Exhaling side bend. Inhaling, look over to the right. Exhaling, Pala Mudra. Left arm opens. Take a breath in. Right hand could turn. On the out breath, a side bend. The in breath, perhaps a star. Lower down, side bend on the exhale. Inhale, look over. Out breath, return to the mudra. Maybe close your eyes and take a note. Releasing Pala Mudra just for a moment and let your arms be by your sides, palms forward. As you find a grounded position here, you might choose to lift your right heel. I'm now starting to mirror in case you get confused. Turning the heel inwards to either rest it for a tree pose, bring the foot up to rest on the lower leg, or even help the foot up to your upper inner thigh, or have a dance about it. You might choose then to bring your hands back into Pala Mudra, which still is your left hand under, your right hand up. Growing a bit taller in the tree, right out of your standing leg. And you might extend your right arm out as you take a breath in, and maybe even challenge your gaze to look over. There's an option there to slowly move that into a side bend, leaning away from your bent knee. As you slowly return to center, bringing the hands back into the mudra. Lifting the knee in front, landing the foot, and releasing the arms. Let's change sides. Left heel might lift. You could lift the whole foot, finding the position for the tree that best suits you on this side. As you lift up, we will change the mudra around just for the sake of the balance. So it's the right hand under, the left hand on top. As you might hold and grow your tree right up from your roots. The option of extending the left arm and maybe following it with the gaze. Perhaps reaching the arm over the head and finding a side bend away from the bent knee. As you rise, bring the hands back to where they were. Perhaps lifting the knee up in front and landing the foot down, releasing the arms. I would ask you to turn to the long edge of the mat now and step your feet a little bit further apart. Turning your right toes to face a short edge. The left heel slightly to the other short edge. Placing a bend into the right knee and aligning that over the ankle joint. As you look towards the front leg, maintain the knee in alignment with your toes and draw the feet a little bit closer in toward each other, as if that was possible. Of course, they stay glued to the mat while you breathe in, lifting your arms out to either side, completing your warrior shape. So if available, that would be at shoulder height. Your gaze might be towards the front for your warrior two. Today, you might choose to straighten the front leg and then sink back in. While you're maintaining that general draw inwards of the feet, start to bounce a little bit in and out of your warrior shape as if you were trying to serve. Pausing in the shape, turning both hands to face upward if they aren't already, and then exalting the warrior. So the back of the hand rests down, the other one comes over the head. Breathing in as you bend the back knee, and out as you release your hands to the front thigh. You might turn your front foot a little bit to the corner of a mat and sink into a squat, as you might raise the left sole off the floor and finding a heel on the mat. Changing over to the other leg as you rest your hands to the thigh, perhaps the right foot lifts off, the heel digs to the floor. And you might choose to come around back to the first leg and again to the second. And just moving from side to side for a few more rounds. Holding this side lunge on the left leg. Turning your foot a little bit inwards, that's your right foot, so the heel is already pointing towards the short side of the mat. Rising up and then swiveling your left foot to face the short edge as you bring a bend into that knee. Have a little look that the knee is over the ankle joint and your stance is okay. Then perhaps lifting both arms out, shoulder height. Find the softness in your shoulders, the strength in the feet as they gently draw towards each other. You could then choose to straighten as you inhale and bend as you exhale, and you might do that a few times, maintaining your gazing point or drishti. Holding your next one, as you might turn the palms to face upwards, and then exalting the warrior as you reach your arm over, holding your foundation just the same. Taking a soft bend into the back knee, roll your arms back in and bring your hands again on top of your left thigh, turning the left toes to the corner of the mat. Then leaning across as you're lifting the sole of the foot. And you could shift again from side to side here. If you like to go deeper and that's available, perhaps take the hands to the floor, coming a bit closer towards Skandasana. So some of you might even come a lot lower than I am right here. You might sit all the way towards the heel of the foot. Let us pause that over on the right-hand side. Lowering the back foot to the mat, lifting the heel of the foot. Walk your hands all the way around and then lowering your left knee to the mat. So the right leg is out in front. You might slide your hands back or even use a block or two underneath your hands as you slide your right heel forward. Squaring your hips off. Flointing the foot, so perhaps moving out from the ball of the foot here. And as you breathe out, lower your nose towards the knee for Ardha Hanumanasana, half monkey god pose. Breathing out slowly to deepen this forward fold. As you inhale next, landing the sole of the right foot on the mat and bending the knee, tucking the back toes under. You might move your hands or blocks to frame the front foot, raising the back knee off the mat and then stepping the back foot in. So perhaps finding here a pyramid shape to lean towards. As your feet are hip distance apart, lowering the nose again down towards the knees. Your hands can be either side of the foot, on the leg, or on the floor. Maybe you feel that still behind the front leg, but perhaps in other areas here too. Let's turn the heel of the back foot in. And then take a breath to just open your arms out for a triangular shape, as if you're rising from the floor. Bring a bend to the front knee and lift yourself all the way, releasing your arms down, turning your feet back wide as you breathe in, and bending into the left knee when you breathe out. Lifting again the other foot off the mat. And then reaching the hands down as you swivel and turn, lowering the right knee to the floor. As you might slide your left foot a little forward. You can use blocks here too to support your hands. As the sole of the foot comes off the mat, floating the foot, so pressing out from the ball. And when you next exhale, starting to lower your upper body toward the front leg. Maintaining your hips here in balance as you lean downwards. As you next inhale, bending your front knee, landing on the sole of the foot. Tucking the back toes under as you adjust your hand position, stepping the back foot in. You can have blocks here either side, and having your hands on the block, on the leg, or on the floor as you fold towards the front leg. Your stance here of the feet now quite short, but hip distance to the sides. Staying with the pyramid shape for another breath. And then turning your back foot open and taking a deep breath to lift up and open perhaps both of your arms, finding a short triangular shape. Bending into the front leg and rising up, stepping your feet parallel, releasing your arms, mountain pose. You might choose to directly close the eyes and just notice everything that went out of order. Clothing that has moved around your body. Hair you found in places you didn't want it. Sensations. The feet back on the floor. The breath that still flows. As you breathe in, reach your arms up all the way. Touch the palms of your hands and take an out breath into a standing forward fold. Take an inhale here as the spine lengthens forward, a half lift. And with the out breath coming to land in a seated position. Now, for this seated pose, I will grab my blanket and fold it quite significantly. You can also use the rolled up end of your mat, extending the legs forward once you've found something to sit upon. And if you insist, you can also sit flat on the floor. We begin by bending the right knee, and perhaps the sole of the foot rests against the inside of the leg, wherever that is comfortable. We will be facing the space between the legs today, so there's no need to draw the straight leg in, but maybe flexing the foot on the extended leg. So right knee is bent, left leg is extended, and placing the back of the left hand against the inside of the leg. Take the other hand into the side of the waist and create a pressure between the back of the hand and the leg as you breathe in, and start to turn more towards your bent knee. When you're then breathing out, maintain the pressure you created between hand and leg, but let the hand slide down. So you're starting to bend sideways over your extended leg. Maintain a flexion in the foot, maybe even the pressure, or the light pressure that is, between your arm, hand, and the leg. Your choice to swing the arm from the side over the head and have the palm of the hand facing the leg. Some of you might get so deep that you could even bind your hands around the front foot. If you're even aiming for these binds or going deeper, keep in mind that this is a side bend where you would still perhaps feel some lengthening through the back of the leg. So allowing your top shoulder to stay back. Let your shoulder now roll inwards and start to curl up through the spine. Let's extend both legs out long in front and perhaps moving a little bit through the feet, the ankles. Before bending the left knee and making a new choice where to place this foot, as the knee might open to the side, we naturally are turned towards the center of our legs, and we'll keep it this way, but flexing the right foot quite strongly. Placing the back of the right hand against the inside of the leg and beginning that pressure there. So we're holding the leg in place. The left hand can go to the side of the waist, and on the in-breath, using your hand to assist you turn towards the bent knee. On the out-breath then, let the hand slide down the inside of the leg for your side bend, and perhaps you can keep that pressure between your arm and the leg. The option, the hand in the side of the waist, or allowing this arm to swing over the head and then going deeper into the side bend with the palm of the upper hand facing the extended leg. Few more breaths for your side bend, encouraging again the top shoulder to remain back, however far you might reach towards the side fold. Letting your upper arm and shoulder roll inwards, and then uncurling your spine. Once more, extending both legs out to the front. Now I will come off my little support here and unfold my blanket back towards a cushion for the head in a moment. I will also keep a block by the side of the mat. If that is suitable for you too, you might do the same. And we will lower down very slowly. So let's breathe in, sitting upright. As you breathe out, lower a little. As you breathe in, lengthen your spine. With your out breath, lower a little. Let's do that again. Inhaling, length. Exhaling, roll a little down. Find your length and roll a little down. And last one, take a breath and exhale to slowly lower onto the back. Let your body be long. See if you need any wiggles. And then allow the knees to bend again. Now, I will give you options here. I would love you to be restful, but if you insist and it's in your practice, there's no pain in your neck and shoulders, you could do a shoulder stand. My preferred version is a supported shoulder stand. with the feet on the floor if you wish, lifting your hips back up, maybe drawing the block under flat or halfway up, which is my choice here. Again, it's the same position just underneath the sacrum. We've practiced that in the extended bridge earlier. If the block is halfway up, you might keep a hold of it before bending your knees up toward the chest. Now, I notice I've taken the block a little bit too far down, so I will shuffle it just a centimeter further up, and then I've got the balance to extend the legs toward the ceiling. So perhaps you find that balancing point as well for the block if there's one underneath. If you don't have the block underneath, perhaps fists under the buttocks just to lightly elevate the hips. Your arms can be relaxed. And I would love you to just point the feet if that feels right. Maybe you feel a light stretch there on the top of the foot. You could then choose to draw the toes back towards your body and push the heels up it. You might feel a little extension through the calves. You might, not necessarily. And feeling into a flointed foot as you press out through the ball of the foot. Maybe you don't feel a stretch here, but activation. What happens when you then soften the legs, the feet? Maybe you enjoyed one of the foot positions, you could come back to it. Maybe you prefer your feet and legs to be more relaxed. If you feel you found your position, return the awareness to the breath. Perhaps you notice, especially if your hips are a bit higher, that the sensation of the breath is a bit different. You might choose to grab a hold of your block if you have it halfway up. Bending the knees gently towards the chest and stepping the feet back down onto the ground. Aligning the feet in a roughly hip distance apart. Before you use the feet to lift the hips up, draw the block out from underneath and releasing your spine back onto the mat. While your feet are on the ground, roll from side to side and slide your hands underneath your body. You can choose the palms up, taking a hold of the buttocks muscles, or the palms facing down. Maybe it's possible for you to extend both legs out here and bring them to touch as you point your toes. Maybe lifting up onto the forearms and looking down towards the toes as you snuggle your elbows under. Perhaps lifting your sternum more, and you can keep your chin tucked in and looking forward, or you might guide the chin forward and then the head backwards instead. In any case, keep your heart lifting no matter the head back or looking forward. We'll take a couple more breaths in Matsyasana or the fish. Before you might choose to release back to the back of the head. Roll again lightly from side to side to get your arms out from underneath. Maybe your knees are bent and you could choose to just let them sway. If you find here you're wonderful, come into Shavasana. If you need anything extra, it could be that little hug of the knees to the chest that you're craving. Whatever it might be that prepares you perfectly to land in a resting pose. And your resting pose could remain with the knees bent, the feet wide and the knees dropping inwards. But you could also use a support underneath the knees, such as a bolster, a rolled up blanket. Maybe your legs are simply out long. That's fine too. You could choose to let your arms drop away from the body. You might even slide your shoulder blades lightly under in this position, so the shoulders can broaden to the mat. Arriving back in this shape. Finding the rhythm of your breath flowing again. Notice if you are controlling your breathing in any way. If you are, just take a note that you are. And drop into that breath that doesn't cause any effort at all. As your body breathes itself, maybe reflecting once more onto the poem. Yoga is not about the pose. It's not the alignment of toes or hips or shoulders. It's not about the form. Yoga is an invitation to explore, not a command performance. It speaks the language of the soul. In the flow of breath and motion, yoga coaxes us from the confines of the known across the silent threshold into vastness. Yoga is the union of prayer and movement, guided from inside. It is healing and the joy of saying yes to life. Breathe, relax, and feel the body receive its own truth. The seed of freedom flowers within each of us whenever we are open to what is real. What is real is the flow of your breath right now. It comes in, it goes out. Perhaps your mind can attach to that in and out for a little while. Just be, breathe in awareness. My life is unlimited in every respect. I recognize that I am unlimited in all facets of my life. I see my financial balance as unlimited. So nothing I am choosing is limited by money. For I know I'm a magnet and I can attract whatever level of prosperity, health, and relationships I choose. As you draw attention to that you want to attract, it is important that we learn where our mind is going. You might have found an intention through what you heard or experienced today, an intention perhaps for the rest of your day. Take that with you if there is one, and start to deepen your breath, finding back to some gentle movements or stretching. And when you're ready, finding a way to come to join me in a seated pose, whether that's arising over the front or rolling onto the side of the body. And you might, for a last time, choose to place your left hand underneath the navel, palm facing up like a bowl. The right hand on top, but not touching, for Palamudra. Notice if there's an instant change of energies that you experience. Trust that there is, if you don't. Perhaps taking some of the calm you might have cultivated into the day, as well as your intention. Knowing that this mudra is there for you to practice if it resonates with you. Let's slowly bring the hands closer, the palms maybe starting to touch. The hands could rest with the thumbs to the sternum in Anjali Mudra in front of your chest. We will complete our practice with just one sound of Om, our universal sound. Let's breathe in together. Om. From our hearts, with a light bow, we extend to each other. Namaste.